Ten String Tavern, episode 15.
Season 2.
Season 2. Yeah, technically episode 1 is season 2, but
Yeah.
I want big numbers. I want somebody to see like episode 1,000.
Been at this for a while.
That's it.
So, in light of deer season upon us, we brought in Damon Outward and the man behind the camera, Michael Oberdick from Outward Outdoors. Thank you guys for coming in.
Welcome.
Thanks for having us. Thank you so much for having us.
I couldn't think of a better timed episode than releasing it this week.
Exactly. Especially I've seen friends already that have already scored some nice looking bucks early in the season. So yeah, it's in full swing now. So
have you seen anything this year?
Yeah, well, that's what we went out. I was like opening weekend that happened Saturday, and it was like hot weather coming in. I was like, didn't have too much on the trail cameras. I was like, we still, by nature, we cannot miss opening day. We got to go out. So we made threw up a pop-up blind, went out Saturday evening. We had 2 does come in, and then we had like 3 bucks. One of them could have been a shooter. I had O behind the crossbow, and I was on the recording that one.
Oh, really?
They stayed down by an apple tree. They didn't make their way on up, but it was a nice first morning or evening hunt.
Nice.
So there's nothing like, especially like in fall when it's like in Saturday morning. I think it started out. It was pretty foggy Saturday morning.
Beautiful.
So that's what I was telling my wife. I said it's great when you're up in a tree stand. It's dark. And then you can just see the sun starting to come up. You got that fog there, and you hear every little thing going through the woods, and it's like my favorite time of year. So,
and the things like that, that's what keeps drawing you back, because there's certain things that you can't get anywhere else but when you're out hunting, and just the solidarity by yourself and being one with the nature like that, like you said, it's such a cool thing to experience.
And even if you're not hunting, it's like for me, I always say that like 30 minutes right before you can tell it's going to start getting light out. That's my favorite time of day. And my wife goes, "You're crazy," because it's like 4:30 in the morning. I'm like, I know, but still,
Especially after I illegally removed those trees from your yard. I was chopping down trees. His neighbor came over and was like, this is my property, right? I'm like, well, I'm going to go get Scott real quick.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, that was it wasn't illegally, but it was just a big miscommunication.
So to give our viewers a little background on you, so can you take us through like when you first started hunting, when you really got into it, how you got hooked up with this guy, and when you guys decided like, we're going to do this, we're going to start this channel?
Yeah, for sure. So hunting and trapping and fishing has always been in my family since I was young. My grandfather and my great-grandfather, they did it when they were children. So when I was 8 years old is when I was taken to the hunter safety course. That's when I first got my license. And 9 years old is when I killed my first doe. So like right away, I had that itch. I mean, I still remember the moment. I had my little camo overalls on. I had orange Pringles in my front pouch. And I started running up to the doe like bawling. I did it. I just will never forget that. So that's when I started, and I just really have grown and adapted since then. And me and Michael, we've been friends since 8th grade for a long time, and we're next door neighbors. So it's always been a thing of like wanting to do this, like record what we're doing. Like it's always been an idea, a thought, but to take it into practicality is a lot harder than we thought.
Yeah.
So like finding little workarounds about it, like we've attempted in the past, but last year when we first started Outward Outdoors, I sat him down and I said, listen, I really want to do this again. I want to be serious, but I don't want to worry about like other people or like do it for the views or try to make money off of it. I simply want to do it because I have kids now. I want them to be able to see what I'm doing, and I want to go look back and just give other people so doing it for ourselves, which was really the main thing of what was different about this time than any other.
Yeah. Well, when I saw your first video, the first thought was I couldn't imagine doing one of these by yourself. Like even with like a phone camera or anything, trying to go on a hunt, and I couldn't imagine. Like, even if, like, seeing a buck or something, to take your phone out first, get a video of him, then get out your gun. So you're pretty much behind him right there.
24/7, right behind him. Yeah, and that it definitely creates problems. I mean, because like, if you're going after, I mean, turkey season is a great example. I mean, turkeys can see every single movement. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's almost like I'm hunting as well, but
Yeah.
I'm just camera on him the whole time. And it's funny you say your phone because like nowadays that's our bread and butter. You buy an
Yeah.
Osmo digital, we have an Osmo mobile, just gimbal, and I can literally sprint behind him. So that helps a lot.
Yeah, it does.
Nice.
Yeah. Has there been any moments where you slowly turned around or something, a little bit extra movement?
I'm sure
funny.
there has been, but hasn't messed us up yet. I know, like when he shot his turkey last year, I was behind him by like 5 yards or whatever, and we got so excited. Like I dropped the camera, we jumped up to celebrate and stuff. And when I dropped the camera, it stopped recording. So I literally only had like the 5 seconds after the kill, and
Yeah.
that was it. Like nothing else recorded. So that was really tough. But yeah, that's our biggest blunder at this point
Yeah.
so far.
Well, that's good then.
And you hit a really good point, Jake. Like he's almost hunting as well. Like that.
Yeah.
I mean, even more so than me because I'm worried about myself and my movements. He has to be worried about his movements, my movements, making sure he's getting it
Yeah.
in frame. So like you said, doing it by yourself, which some people do, is
Yeah.
insane. So like it was not even possible for
Yeah.
me. So I give like so much applaud to Obe to be able to capture all those moments for me. Like that's amazing. It's what I've always wanted, and we're doing it. It's cool.
And plus, the people that do it by themselves, I don't care who you are. If you're up in a stand or in a blind or anything, and that buck comes by, I don't care. You start shaking. Your heart rate
Right,
goes
yeah.
from like 65 to 165, and trying to hold a camera and think about how you're there's yeah. If you can do that by yourself, God bless you, because you just have no feeling, I guess. So
It's really funny
Yeah,
you say that
yeah.
too, because the first buck I ever filmed him kill was like 2017 or something like that. We were in a double tree stand, and I actually had to film it like backwards like this over my shoulder.
Watching
And the
it,
second that thing came in, his leg was shaking so bad the whole tree stand was shaking. So the whole camera thing is just this over my shoulder, and then you just hear the of like him hitting that buck.
yeah.
And then it's like, I got it. So yeah.
Did you ever see that one? I think it's Luke Bryant. He's deer hunting, and they're filming him, and he comes in his buck, and you can tell and he shoots it, and he's just like looking back at the camera, because did I get it? Did I get it? Did I get it? Did I get it? And he's just like almost falling off the tree stand. But yeah, that excitement is just
Yeah, adrenaline's a very addictive thing.
Yeah.
Once you find what releases your adrenal gland, it's hard to do something else.
You can't stop.
Yeah.
And I don't care. Like I said, unfortunately for all the years that I've been hunting, I've never gotten that trophy buck. But I know how excited I've gotten just getting a deer, because, and that's what Amy and I were talking about the other night. She just I was watching a hunting channel online, and they showed the guy shooting a buck, and she's like, "Oh, I didn't want to see that." I'm like, "But you want me to go hunting and we fill our freezer?" She goes, "Yeah, I'll eat it. I don't want to see it die." And I'm like, she goes, "I don't know how people do that." I said, it's not like, "Oh, I can't wait to kill this thing." You know what I mean? It's not. It's like, and like I said, it sounds ridiculous, unless you're actually doing it. 90% of hunters that go up I don't care if it's a squirrel, a deer, whatever, you walk up and your first thing is like, "Man, thank you for, you're gonna support my family, and thank you for everything." And you welcome the sacrifice, but it's still not. It's adrenaline. It's
Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm really glad you brought that up because that's like one of like the biggest things that I'm about. Like making sure that hunting isn't about like it's not the killing of the animal per se. It's more into it than that, because a lot of the ways growing up, that was a way we got our food. We went and fished, and then we filleted them out, and then we had a fish fry. That was a lot of ways when times were hard how we made it. So it's so much more than that, and it's a blessing. I'm thanking God for giving me this animal, and I'm making sure I'm going to do everything that I can to get every part of it. So
Right.
it's a lot. It's cool. That's
And like I
that's
said,
the aspect.
and a lot of people that are against hunting, I don't think they understand that's not just I don't know what you want to call it, like just fodder that people say. That's like a true thing, like with real hunters, that you get it, you understand, and you thank, like I said, you thank the animal for the sacrifice. But it's just, again, it is adrenaline rush. So we'd be lying if we said it wasn't. I don't care what it is. So.
100%.
Would you say deer would be your most passionate to hunt, or
No,
No. Oh, really?
no. So I do a little bit of whatever is available for per our area. So I do duck, squirrel, rabbit, turkey, and deer, and then I also do some trapping. My favorite in the past has always been rabbit. Listen to the dogs run them, bring them back to
Okay.
you, like the training aspect. But more recently, we've gotten into waterfowl and duck hunting, and the experience of that because you're out way before daylight because you're breaking ice with your feet, you're putting the ducks out, and you're sit there like you still got an hour before daylight and just watching the sun come up and
Yeah.
fog and seeing the flock. Some of the flocks that come in is insane, and the calling. So I like waterfowl the best, but
Really?
deer's always been up there. There's so
Yeah.
many pros and cons to each and every one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So it is hard to pick one.
If you had to pick, like, what animal would you say is the most work as far as like prep?
Deer, 100% in my opinion, deer. If you're gonna, depending upon what you're doing, like if you're gonna if you're rack chasing and want to get a trophy buck, if you watch your cameras, let deer wait,
Yeah.
watch their rub lines, and there's so many different aspects
Yeah.
and tips and tricks. So deer hunting is more in depth than anything else, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you just don't want to put out a feeder and then, know exactly where that deer feeds all the time and feed it, and then go out and just, shoot it. That's I don't know. That's bullshit.
I'd say one thing I've learned a lot with the deer is something you touched on was like the patience of it, waiting for that. Like it might be a 9 point this year, but it's still like 2 years old. So it's like,
Yeah.
you gotta you want to wait until that thing's like a 12, a 13,
Yeah,
and it's a mature deer.
It's funny that you guys are saying, because it's almost like you had our living room bug the other night, because that's what she was like. That's an old deer, let it go. I'm like, no, that's what you want to get them mature like that. You want to get a 12, 13-year-old because one, he's not putting back into the herd. You know what I mean? He's not putting back into the herd. He's reached his maturity, and you want to let those young bucks come up and keep populating and keep coming in. And you want the old mature bucks, but again, it's just if you haven't grown up doing that, then a lot of people just don't understand it. And
A lot of people don't understand what an animal tastes like that's just been fed on grass their whole life.
right.
Like my dad's friend butchered a cow a couple weeks ago. He gave us ribeyes we had for dinner last night. I'm like, Kaylee, just when you taste this, just know that this is a cow that's been pasture raised. And she's like, this is nothing like I've ever tasted before. Like not even like big steak restaurants, you can get that same.
Yeah, no, after they pump all the hormones and everything in it and everything else, but
That's why we got me and my wife on our own, we got a little farm and we do cattle.
Oh,
we
do you?
slaughter one a year and it's all grass. And it's when the first year was last year we did it. His name was Lenny.
It does taste
But
different.
it even looks different, which
Yeah.
is crazy to me, the look of it. Because I've never experienced the cattle side of it. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is night and day difference.
Yeah.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And when you said about duck hunting, when I lived in Maryland, friends of mine down there took me duck hunting for the first time.
Oh, that's a good waterway down there.
And oh man, it was so much fun, and it was just like I'll never forget. I'm asking him, I'm like, so like, when's a good time to shoot? Like, what am I looking for? And I will never forget this. He said, and I was active duty Air Force, so this made sense to me. He says, soon as they get on final and they put the landing gear down, that's when you open fire. And it's like,
Yep.
all right, I can relate to that.
That's
As soon
a
as you come
true
in,
statement.
you see them flare and the landing gear come out, boom, there it goes. So.
What a way to put it. That's hit the nail on the head on that. Is true.
But yeah, like I said, it was fun. It was, but we were down in
goodness.
these like there's like 6 of us, and we're like on these lay down things.
Oh, you were on lay down blinds.
Yeah.
That's a really awesome way to hunt as well.
I never knew anything, and you're all covered up,
Did
and
they
then
flop
it just
out?
flops
Yeah.
open, and everybody
Yep.
jumps up like there's 6 Elmer Fuds. So
It's so because that's what's cool about it because it's
Yeah.
so different than anything else.
yeah, because you're laying there, and you're like no, and like a couple of times I'd have jumped, and they're like not yet, and then you hear one guy just jump up, now, and like I said, that thing pops open. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I felt like it was complete ambush, but yeah, it was duck hunting was fun. I'd like to do that again, but
So before you got here, Damon had a funny story for me that these guys received a lifetime ban from TikTok over a groundhog. If you
a lifetime ban.
Ban over.
Wait a minute, you got a lifetime ban from TikTok.
Yep.
The place where people shake their ass.
Yep.
And you got a lifetime ban over a rodent.
for a groundhog, an extra large groundhog.
I'll take the blame because like I posted them, but like we got a 7-day ban because we were intending harm on a turkey, even though we didn't show the kill shot of the turkey. We just showed it like running. So we got a 7-day ban. And then yeah, we had a giant groundhog in his driveway, and he just tried to chase it out of his driveway because it wasn't moving. And we were in the car. Like
I was like, I'm
I
not gonna
posted it
run
on
over.
TikTok. Next thing I know,
You're
we're
getting out of
banned
the
for
road.
lifetime.
You're saving its life.
Yeah,
Yeah, right. Like we literally got it out of the road.
Yeah.
they took it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Lifetime
now
ban.
our email address and everything for Outward Outdoors like can't be used
Can't be used on
TikTok
TikTok.
ever again.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And it was like during the infancy stages of it, like just trying
Yeah.
to like get a footprint somewhere.
Wow, that's well, you'll just have to do, outward
yeah.
outdoors
Underscore.
.1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
And then if it gets canceled again, .2 and
Yeah.
.3 and that's amazing. So what we were talking about, you guys were talking about something going on with Ogilvy.
Law controversy going
What
on
is
right
that?
now.
What did I miss
Glad
that?
I can
What
get
is
you
going
guys in here for this. So, it will be announced. I don't know if it was a couple weeks ago, that there's just way too many deer up there, and they're having pretty much a culling lottery, where they're going to thin out the herd. And there's a lot of activists mad about it
Why?
because they've never heard of chronic wasting disease or any.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're looking at it from the standpoint as the deer's friendly, you can come up to it. It's like inhumane, like they're from that aspect is how they're coming across it.
Oh, so if we let them run across the road, get hit by cars, suffer on the side of the road, and die, that's okay.
That's better.
But if you just, shoot it and dispose of it quickly and humanely, you're an asshole.
Correct.
Okay, sounds like an activist.
Yeah.
Well, even if you look at the news articles about it, like the first part is just details, and then it's why we shouldn't be doing it. And right at the end, it's almost like a Surgeon General type warning that the American Wildlife Association says that overpopulation could lead to disease and this, but that is such a big thing, that disease that they're talking about.
Right.
Horrible. That disease is horrible and kills so many,
And it spreads so fast. Once one gets it, it's
Oh yeah, it's
like the herd.
it's like COVID.
yeah.
I'm just saying. Sorry.
No, essentially.
But really, like for our listeners that don't know what we're like CWD that we're talking about, chronic wasting disease, I think it's based off of a protein. I think it's a prion protein that mutates, and it can spread from mother to fawn. It spreads through fluids, direct contact.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's like parvo for dogs. I mean,
or mad cow disease.
Yeah,
almost,
Yeah.
it's no joke. And like you said, it's just, and it'll affect a lot because same thing with those deer die and then it gets in and other animals eat them and it just it's not, it needs to be taken care of. I mean, I know you watched Bambi when you were a kid and you cried and you love deer because they have these big pretty eyes, but you still gotta it's the nature of the beast.
I mean, you can be empathetic with people that think like, you're taking a life of another animal, but if you go online, look at videos of deer at the late stages of CWD, they're bashing their heads off of trees until they're dead. I mean,
They like their tongue sticks out, they walk in circles and then they just drop. Like it's
Yeah.
very ugly and it's not good. So they have to look at it from the conservation side of it. Like, so if you enjoy the deer that much and you enjoy seeing them, if you want to continue to see them healthy and a lot of them, you have to manage the population. It's been neglected for so long.
Yeah,
So now they are like pets. So it's not necessarily a pretty thing about it, but it's a thing that has to be done.
Right.
And it's a good thing for it, not a bad thing. That's what.
yeah.
And that's like I said, there's a lot of people. I mean, I know a lot of people that were like, I just think hunting's cruel and I'm like, well, look at your options. If you just let everything overgrow and he said, then you have disease and then you got all these other issues and then like you think that you see a lot of deer on the side of the road now.
Yeah.
Don't have a season to control them. It's going to be
Yeah.
every 6 feet, and
My
then
goodness.
you're going to hit like 3 of them a year. Your insurance deductible is going to go up, and you're just you're going to be really mad, and it's the way it evolves, and even sometimes you can't. Once they think, oh, like you said, deers are cute.
Yeah.
You don't want to kill those. Now, if you want to go boar hunting, they're ugly. Go ahead, that's fine. But
With tannerite.
yeah.
Have you had any experience with boars? Have you ever tried
No,
that? No, my uncle did. He had a monster. He won a culling lottery. He went over, I can't remember what state he went to, and just hit a monster.
Oh man,
Those-
I'd love
those
to.
That would
Callings
be.
are
I would
crazy.
like to do it.
Yeah.
That would be an awesome.
I'd like to do it because I could go. You can go boar hunting with the 300 blackout, and I think that would be a blast.
I want to. I want to. That's. I want to. I
We
want
were
to.
just talking about building one.
I said wild boars is like the trickiest game meat to cook because you got to get that temperature real high to get all the stuff out of it.
Is it real? I don't know. I'd love to. I'd love to go on a
Chef
boar
Luke,
hunt.
That makes
Chef
sense.
Luke told me that.
Okay.
He would. He would know.
Oh yeah.
Two things. I'd like to do a boar hunt, and I would love to do an elk hunt.
Elk.
Elk, yeah.
Like go out west and do like a long range.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'd like to-
Colorado elk
Yep.
hunt is like
yeah, that's on my
top
bucket
tier.
list.
Like honestly,
Listen, I respect the people that go and deer hunting with a bow, but that's I've done enough stupid stuff in my life to not go deer or bear hunting with a with a bow and arrows. That's, you got to get close and personal with a bow. So I'm like, no, I'll do that one from far away. But
yeah.
So what tools of the trade do you use when you're deer hunting? Do you prefer bow? Do you prefer gun?
So
Do you
like
prefer tree stand? Like take us through like your
bow season is the majority of
Mm-hmm.
deer. So typically I kill my deer during archery and
Uh-huh.
the gun only comes in for a week. So I prefer to get it done with a bow. And it's controversy like whether you use compound or crossbow.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've used a compound in the past, but I use crossbow now. Some say
Okay.
it's like easier and cheating. I think whatever you're comfortable with and you can make an ethical shot to,
Right, yeah.
to harvest your animal is the best option for you.
Mm-hmm.
Now I had a compound and I gave it to my brother-in-law, so that's why I'm not using it currently.
Okay.
I did what I wanted to do with it, and now I'm satisfied with using my crossbow for now. So that's what I used, and I like the archery aspect of it, no matter what you're using, because you're closer,
Yeah.
and it's not a bear that's going to come and eat me. So
Right.
it's not really a dangerous aspect to it.
Yeah.
I feel like I did more respect to the animal at tricking it, making sure it's getting it closer. Like I did what I needed to do, and like as far as using a blind or a tree stand, I prefer tree stand
Uh-huh.
if I'm gonna do it during archery because you're up higher and like it's less likely of a chance for the deer to bust you and like because they're not
Yeah.
gonna be necessarily looking up. The main thing, and if anything, when you're deer hunting, is in my opinion, if you're gonna need any tip or trick, is hunt the wind. Make sure the wind's in your favor and the wind's in your face. Like a lot of people don't really know that. I guess like that I talk to, like it's kind of like they just. If they got one blind, they just go to it whenever.
Uh-huh.
Like and I was
Yeah.
like, you could do yourself a lot more benefit instead of like going out every day. Maybe go out once a week or whenever the wind is right.
Uh-huh.
The deer don't get as smart, and you can find they'll pattern better, and they won't bust you. So that's the main things.
yeah, that's like you said. And I've gone out before where I've been in a tree stand and it's been fine. And then by like 8 o'clock, the wind shift.
You know, like a
And it's
swirl
going, come. I just get out of the stand.
That's
Like
right.
I know I'm done. It's
Yeah.
there's nothing you can do about it. It's just it
sucks, but you're like, if I stay here, I'm not gonna see anything, or they're gonna
Right.
come and they're gonna bust me. So
Of course, like I said before, when I was hunting, I was married to something else. So there was a lot of times I stayed in the stand just because I didn't want to go home. But it was that's a whole other story. But
Who's hunting who?
I'd rather just stay up hang out in a tree for 8 hours while it's cold and rainy than
Yep.
it was definitely beneficial.
So getting momentarily from the hunting and more to like a nerdier aspect. So did you go to school for this, for video production?
Some,
Because
yeah.
I was telling you guys before we started, the video's professional.
Oh,
Like
thank you.
you can't just, when you check it out,
Yeah, I
you can't
did-
just
I
pick
saw
up
it.
a camera and
Thank
load
you.
it all into like,
Yeah.
what I'd like CapCut or, Adobe Promo and just
Yeah.
start putting them in. Like it takes a lot of knowledge.
Yeah, so I mean, I did it a lot in high school.
Okay.
I took tech prep in high school, which
Shout
was
out Coach
awesome.
Kim.
Yep, shout out Coach Kim, who, sorry, never came to a single class. I learned everything on YouTube. Thanks, Coach Kim. But yeah, so like, I mean, it really just started with football highlights in high school, to be honest,
yeah,
because that's
yeah.
all Ferry cared about was football highlights
Yeah,
on
that is
Friday
true.
night or on
Nice.
Monday morning of
Yeah.
Friday's game. So that's where it kind of all started. And then it just kind of grew. I mean, I did go to college for a little bit. Didn't finish. I went to a private school that was like 80 grand a year. Ran out of money. But that happens. And then, it just kind of always just stuck with it though.
Yeah.
For
You're
just like
still
side
learning
stuff.
the technical side of stuff.
Yeah. So, and I mean, I do have a my certificate now in software engineering too. So like,
Okay.
I'm just really good with a computer at times,
Yeah.
like, I mean, I know Python and like Java, JavaScript, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So like computers are just kind of like second nature to me. I just
Yeah,
kind of
no.
figured it out. Now, when it comes to like the editing style of it, you know, I did a lot of research. You know, I paid for My Outdoor TV. I watched the guys like Waddell and Dury Outdoors and stuff that have been doing it for years. They have millions of followers and they're in TV shows, and took what I liked from them and what I don't like from them and
Yeah.
kind of change it up. But at the end of the day, our goal is to tell a story. And I told Damon this the other day, was like the reason I feel like everybody hunts is there's two reasons: the excitement of getting the animal and the excitement of telling everybody the story afterwards, right?
Yeah.
We have the benefit though of being able to film our story every week.
Right.
So at the end of the day, I want our video to be the story of the hunt with visual aids.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's really our goal. So I'm very grateful you guys think
Oh, yeah.
they're turning
For
out
sure.
pretty well. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You guys do a hell of a job, and you really haven't been doing this that long either.
No, like
Like, so you pretty much rebooted this year, you said?
yeah. So at the end, really, no, at the start of what was it, fall or spring?
it was about January turkey season.
Yeah, and then we started that. That's when we started up, and we had some old clips from my deer that I killed, and then he moved away to Florida for work for like 6 months. So it like that's why we took a big like
Okay.
break, and like plus on top of that, we were gonna try to do fishing, and it wasn't like feasible at the time. So yeah, it's like I haven't been doing it long. I don't know.
No, yeah.
Not even a
and
full
we
year
really
yet.
did have a goal of doing like the fishing stuff. It's just so hard with fishing.
Yeah.
And like we love to fish. Like that's
Right.
what we do almost this summer when you can't hunt. But we'll get there. Don't worry. Like
Yeah.
the fishing stuff's coming. We've had requests for it even, but it's just tough.
Yeah.
It's tough, and the movement of the boat. And not even that, but like with hunting, you know, you have your times. Like, you know, you can pick like what you're recording at times, and you know, like
Right.
when we're out turkey hunting, we're walking around. Like I don't have to record the whole thing. I can do clips, and that helps editing. But like when you're fishing, it's like 7 hours of just rolling the camera.
You want to see that bite. You want to
Yeah.
see that hit.
Yeah.
hit.
Yeah.
So at what point am I gonna
Yeah, right.
catch this
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
moment maybe?
Yeah. Yeah, and I could imagine just like keeping the camera rolling and just trying to find that spot, that
Right.
honey
Yeah.
hole. I mean,
Right. And we've done fishing a lot in the back. We did tight lines fishing,
Yeah.
and we did
Fish on.
fish on,
Fish on. We
fish
done- we
on.
tried a couple
Which was,
different
yeah,
fish.
I mean, we did it.
That was like our
back,
main
like,
focus before was fishing, because
we
we do
always
that
did
a lot
fishing.
more. But like you said, like I want to get there. Like that's still a goal.
Yeah.
when I was, I think like a junior high school to like sophomore in college, every summer, my main goal is I wanted to keep her. I wanted to keep her on my wall, at least 10 pounds. Never could do it, and I've just burnt myself out.
No,
Yeah.
not for my whole life.
Yeah. I think my
Like,
personal
go to
best now is like
Florida.
8. Yeah.
That would be. That's like the top tier, 10 pounds. Like
That's
that's
yeah.
where it's, that's what you want.
No, see, I want to get that 540-pound tuna.
Oh, that's,
Take up our entire living room wall. So
Yeah. All right. So before we started filming, you brought up sponsoring a youth hunter or sponsoring a couple. You want to take us through that because it sounds super interesting.
yeah. So every year, well, now it's Outward Outdoors. It was just our family, but every year we like to take a youth hunter out during gun season, during youth gun season, and get them a doe. Now, whether typically a person that doesn't have the opportunity to hunt, someone it's their first deer. So we're looking for 2 youth hunters this year in Ohio to come out and harvest a doe with us.
Get a hold of Outward Outdoors.
Get a hold of
It'll
Outward
take ya.
Outdoors.
Outward Outdoors Dizzy at gmail.com.
That's it.
Yes.
That's the new
Oh,
one.
That is, yes. I had to redo it. Yep.
DM. We'll just do.
Yeah, or just DM,
DM us.
message
Or
us.
even if you see this and you're interested, get a hold of 10 Strings Tavern
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
can pass it
Yeah.
along. That's fine too. But
Looking to add some pop to your party? Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Dots Balloon Bash. Dots Balloon Bash is a business located in Cadiz, Ohio, specializing in balloon decoration. What better way of making your toddler feel special on their birthday than giving them an arch of balloons to walk through? Or even surprising your significant other on an anniversary with a giant balloon column with the number of years you've been together on top. You can check out Dots Balloon Bash on Facebook. They have an album of photos to give you an idea of what they can do, some of the designs they have from their past events. And the best part is they have a pricing sheet, so you can kind of get an idea of what you're getting into beforehand. All prices are subject to change based on customization, but it will be discussed before booking your event. That's Dots Balloon Bash. Check them out. Today's episode is also brought to you by one of my favorite businesses in the area and partner for our Season 1 giveaway, Jacob & Sons Meats. If you're out eating at one of the many Ohio Valley restaurants and thought to yourself, damn, this is a great burger, there's a good chance that that meat came from Jacob and Sons Meats. They're located at Center Street, Martins Ferry, right next to the football stadium. If you're looking to stock your freezer and provide your family with great quality meat, check them out. They have all kinds of different variety packs that you can buy. My favorite being the summer grill pack. It comes with chicken breast, ground beef, steaks, burgers, everything that's going to put my Blackstone grill to work. I get the summer grill pack so much that the first time that I went to try another variety pack, when I went to pick it up, they thought someone got the order wrong. And if you're looking for a healthier option, I cannot stress this enough. Check out their chicken sausage. Jacob & Sons makes all kinds of their own custom flavors of chicken sausage right there. My favorite being autumn spice. There's also a hot garlic and teriyaki barbecue that I cannot get enough of as well. That's Jacob & Sons Meats. Check them out online. Stop in their shop in Martins Ferry. If you haven't gotten meat directly from them yet, like I said, odds are you've probably eaten their products at restaurants through the valley. They supply to a lot of businesses. And also check out 10 String Tavern's Facebook page because we are currently having a giveaway for a Jacob & Sons Meats $50 gift card. Now back to our Outward Outdoors episode.
You said when you talked about archery is majority of deer season, but when you gun hunt, what do you gun hunt with?
So Ohio, I'm from Ohio, obviously. Not obviously, sorry, but
Hey, wait a minute.
hey. But no, so until like a couple years ago, you were only allowed to use shotguns, and they
Right.
just recently made centerfire
Straight wall cartridge.
straight wall
Right.
cartridge legal in Ohio. So I never got around to buying a rifle, so I've
Okay.
always used a shotgun. So when I started with a 20 gauge,
Mm-hmm.
and now I use a 12 gauge, just a slug. I got a bolt action Savage 12 gauge, and they shoot Hornadies. They shoot
I use
100
Hornadies
yards. They're
too,
like
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a pretty gnarly gun. They make very powerful shotguns comparable to rifles, which was nice for us. But I like to get them close if I can. But it doesn't either way.
Right, that's the same thing when I was growing up. It was just, shotgun. And then when they started the straight wall, I started looking like I'd like to buy. Really, what I like is a 4570 lever action. Yeah,
Oh.
that's what I'd really like to have, but I can't drop, $1,600 on a Henry right now.
Yep.
So
That's my
It
dream
has to
gun.
be the Golden Boy. It has.
Yeah.
to.
oh my god,
If you're gonna do it, you
dream
have
gun.
to do it.
those guns are just I love them. I guess probably it's just from me being a kid loving westerns and that lever action, and it
Yep.
just. But
That's why.
no, it's I just wonder because I know a lot of people, especially my generation, grew up hunting with 12 gauge. They're still even with the rifle option. They're like, no, I still want a 12 gauge. So
It feels so much better and at home in my hands because I use my 12 gauge. I can change the barrel out and use the same gun for everything I
Right.
hunt, which makes it really convenient. That's what I like about it the best, honestly.
and now the fact that you can get 12 gauges in an AR style.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that too.
That helps.
Drum mag on it.
But no, that's the other thing. I have a good friend of mine lives in Nashville. Huge turkey hunter. Huge turkey hunter, and I've never done turkey hunting in my life.
It's awesome.
When I was asking you what the most difficult animal you think to be to hunt, I thought you were going to say turkey. Just because any hunter I talk to, most hunters I talk to, they're like, turkey's just a whole different world. But
I think,
mean,
like
to
you
each
said
his own,
earlier, I
guess.
think it's just the fact that they see everything. So you got to be
Yeah.
camoed. You got to be camoed from head to toe, and you can't move. Like they
Well, and the
pick up.
thing is too with turkey is like we move like nonstop. Like
But
we're
it's
like
like
change,
how
but
you
it's like
move.
how you move. Yeah, like you have like you can't
Yeah.
just sit in a stand because like when you get there, they're on the roost. So
Yeah.
then like when you're calling, like you may hear a bird like 10 yards to your left, but when it comes off that roost, it may be 40 yards behind you now, and it's not coming to you. It's got a hen.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
now you got to figure out how to move to get closer to it.
And then you have
And
to
that-
also like put them to bed, right? You have to figure out where they're actually
Roost
going.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roost them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. I want to do it. Maybe next spring I'll get to do it. But yeah, nothing that I've ever done. But I probably would say I'd probably go with you on deer too, just because of the fact that I like for deer, you got to know a habit almost. Like you got to know where they're bedding down, and you see that from a lot of hunters that have trail cams and stuff, because you'll see that same deer year after year. They're a creature of habit, but you got to know what that habit is. And I think that's a lot more
How many
difficult.
years?
That's what our deer this year, that my main one that I would really like to focus on. We call him the Bladed 8. It will be our 7th year of getting him on trail camera, which typically in our area, like 2.5 and 3.5-year-old bucks are what get killed the most.
Yeah.
If you get like a 4 or 5-year-old buck, that's pretty dang good, like hard to accomplish.
yeah.
And now, like they say, like once they get to like 6 or 7, they kind of get more lackadaisical, will come out more in daylight. So what we've known this buck's pattern for that many years, and there's only been 2 people that have ever seen him in daylight, and that stand and the 2 stands where he goes has been hunted 100 times plus. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy. Like even when you do know, it's still that hard, because you might see them right on the edge, but they don't break until right after shooting light. You're like,
Yeah, they do. Like you said,
They know.
They do evolve. Like the older bucks, they know they don't come out of the tree line. They get nocturnal. And if you get one that comes out of the tree line and then blesses you with a broadside shot, you think he's probably just like, I don't care anymore.
Yep.
I'm done. I'm tired of whatever. But yeah, it's like I said, you gotta understand a creature of habit, and it's just not like, what are you doing tomorrow? Wanna go deer hunting? Yeah, that's okay. Let's grab your shit. We'll go slop up in a tree, and we'll get something. It's not that. I mean, there's God knows there's people that are out there that are that lucky, and they think they're the best hunters in the world.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't have to prep, or I didn't have to, I didn't have to scout anything. I went out there, and my uncle's grandfather's brother put this tree up, and we get a deer out of there every year. So I just went up there. Bullshit.
And even as the season progresses, the patterns change. So you have to ever evolving with them.
Yeah.
When the rut comes in, like the pattern goes out the window. Then you kind of sit there.
It's a bunch of horny.
Sit all day.
It's a bunch of horny, just like
About to
fraternity
flop.
brothers just gone.
Yep.
It's just
I couldn't imagine the anxiety of tracking a deer all season, maybe not seeing him in the last couple weeks, and then all the rest of the year, like, did my neighbor get it? Did like he go to a different property?
Yep.
I couldn't imagine.
We are actually pretty reluctant. Even most of the people that are around the property, we kind of like have a respect and talk to each other. Like, these are what we got. This is and talk and like, hey, let us know if you get this one. We just wanted to see what it would score. So for the most part, they are pretty tell us, but there's still those ones that are hidden in the back.
Yeah, yeah. That probably don't care that if they're 2 or 3 years, they're
going to get it done anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, it's no, it's good. And you guys are from like Harrison County, right? It's just out that way. So yeah, you're close, and I've
been out to your cabin once.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's on old Consul strip mine, and when they strip mine back with the Gem of Egypt in Harrison, it's the old reclaimed strip mine is the property that we're hunting on.
Oh, nice.
Still got a bunch of cool buildings out there.
Yeah, old like dynamite shanties and way stations
really?
on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty nifty.
Well, then I think when you sponsor a kid for a hunt, I think you need to sponsor a podcast host.
Cross promotion. We'll do a collab.
That's
Yeah.
it. We'll go out there. I'll get all geared up and
He'll have the
dust off my
I'll have the
crossbow
boom
and
mic.
Yep.
say, "Here we got
and
the guys from 10 String Tavern here today." And
I would be 100% down with it to do, if you really genuinely wanted to do a turkey hunt, I would gladly take you on a turkey hunt. Seriously, that
I
would be
want
awesome.
to do a turkey. I want to do a deer hunt. If you have the dogs, I'll go rabbit hunting again. That's
Rabbit hunting's fun. I got to experience my first rabbit hunt with a gun in my hand last year,
Yeah.
Thanksgiving Day. Oh man, that was fun. That is a blast.
that rabbit hunting's close to me because that was the first thing that my dad ever took me hunting.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got a 20 gauge and we went out there and
It's so cool.
in the brush. And
Yep.
I remember my first pair of brush pants. And I remember that day like it, like it was yesterday. But again, it's just one of those things that, growing up that way,
Did y'all bust them up yourselves? Was you the dog, or did you have your own beagles then to run them?
well, I didn't realize it, but I was definitely the dog.
I've been the dog before.
Yeah, and I remember growing up, we had a dog. It was a beagle. His name was Max, and I guess Max was useless as a rabbit dog. So he'd take off running, and my dad would be like, "Go through here, and just don't come this way," and yell if you see something. And my dad had like 6 rabbits, and I got 1. But it's
Do you use the Bassets?
No, so
Okay.
I use beagles.
Okay.
My grandfather has 3 beagles, and I have 1 beagle
Okay.
that I just recently got, who I'm getting in the process of training and getting ready to start bringing him in with them. And he hasn't run one yet, but we're on the progression. His first rabbit he ever saw, he ran the opposite direction. I was like,
Yeah.
"You want him back?" No.
So that's interesting. I've never talked to anybody that. I mean, I have a friend of mine that I was on active duty with. I see he posts all the time. He's getting all kind of awards for training beagles. But I mean, I don't even know. How would you? I love beagles. If I could get one that also trained to hunt, ooh,
So some people are probably more involved and do it a lot differently than I do. The way I've always done it is like my great grandfather. He taught me is just when they're a pup, just take them out, walk a road where you think rabbits are going to be. Like that's like your first way to start them.
Okay.
And then they just kind of get interested, get the idea of they're following you, they're coming back when you call them. So that's like my first stage of how I start when they're a puppy. And then moving along from that, once they get interested in the rabbit, then you can get like a rabbit tail and like a rabbit scent, drag it around your yard, and then place that tail, and then start them on that scent, and then they'll get better at following it, and then they'll. Usually, it helps if you already have a friend or you already have a dog that's already trained. Once they're to that point of being able to follow a scent in your yard,
Yeah.
take them with the dogs that already know how to hunt. They'll kind of follow the leader, and that's how they'll learn to start barking on it. That's what's always worked for us. And you never know, because you might get a dog that just might not have the hunting in them, but typically it's in their nature. At some point,
Yeah.
they'll catch that bug. It's just depending upon the little things you can do. Is like some dogs will even bring rabbits back. I've never trained that, but it's just I've had dogs that have just randomly do that for you.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. But
It's funny because obviously I never trained Banjo to hunt anything, but like we used to live in Yorkville, and when I take him on walks, he used to drag me like 2 blocks because he smelled a sandwich. Like somebody threw out. I'm like, man, if I would have trained you to like rabbits or like even morels or something, this would have been awesome.
Morels.
man, I wish-
Morels.
Yeah.
Ginseng.
Yeah.
so on the video part of it, have you guys ever been out? Have you ever caught anything that kind of like makes you kind of look like, that might be a Bigfoot, that might be a ghost, that might be something that kind of was like, that
I mean,
looks
there's
odd.
definitely been sounds. I mean, there's definitely sounds like where you're sitting in the blind or something, or like even watching back the footage and be like, what in the heck is that knocking? Like, that's not a woodpecker. That's
Yeah.
way too loud and way too far, But nothing too crazy. I mean, I think the best thing we've ever gotten on camera wasn't even us. It was your dad.
Yeah, my
getting
dad's
like the
bobcat.
biggest bobcat I think I've
Shout
ever
out, Jesse.
seen.
Jesse.
Yeah, shout out Jesse Outward. Like the biggest bobcat I think I've ever seen just walked right past his blind last year. Like,
No kidding.
oh my
It
goodness.
was
I mean,
huge.
it was huge. It looked like a baby, like a mature mountain lion
Yeah,
almost.
it was-
I mean, this
it
thing
was a
was
big
huge.
bobcat.
This is the biggest bobcat I've ever seen by
That's
far.
crazy.
So that's probably the craziest
Yeah.
thing we've ever gotten.
But
But
like
it wasn't
you-
even us.
I'm not opposed to the theory that there might be a Bigfoot. I'm not necessarily a believer, but hey, it could possibly.
If there's
be
a
there. You
Bigfoot,
never
it's out
know.
there. I'm
I've
telling
seen
you what.
people live on like Wheeling Island that come pretty close to it. Yeah.
No, but
100%.
I will say this, and I'm going to say this till I die. My wife and I were kayaking at Piedmont, and I don't care who you are, I heard that Bigfoot scream. We both heard it, and because of the fact
I
was,
100% believe you. For
she
100%.
asked me, because when we heard it, she says, "What was that?" Now I'm like I watch all the paranormal stuff and about Bigfoot, and every documentary you hear that it's just a distinct scream, and I went, "Oh my God, that was a Bigfoot." She goes, "No, seriously, what was it?" I'm like, "No, I'm telling you,
Bigfoot.
that was a Bigfoot." So when we went back home and I found like every documentary and they had that scream, and she was like, "Oh my God, that's what we heard." Mm-hmm. I'm like, "I knew it. I knew it." So
There's something. I guarantee you. There's
listen,
so many weird things that happen out there that you may recall. Be like, oh, I have no idea what could have done that.
yeah, there's a lot of things that, I mean, I don't care if you're hunting or just something kind of, there's, I know I'm getting off the hunting topic, but there's something out there that just, that's why I figure for the video guy, if you've ever been any place where you kind of got, hey, I
There's
got this
definitely
idea.
some question marks out there.
Okay.
What do they call them? Skinwalkers? Is that what?
Skinwalkers, yeah.
Skinwalkers, yeah, that's,
I did see a video the other day of a skinwalker deer. It literally like got hit with a bullet, like right here, and its whole entire body like shifts out of the way of the bullet without the deer moving. I did see that on TikTok the other day.
yeah, that's, so I don't know if you're out hunting and you see aliens or
No, I've seen aliens.
UFOs for sure. Definitely got some UFOs in the sky. I'm
I'm
telling you
going
that
on a
much.
way tangent, but there's one prominent story about aliens that we can chat about at some point.
Go ahead. Go get.
No,
give us
so,
a-
I
give
mean,
us
like
your alien
outer
story.
space or from like south of Texas.
no, outer space.
Okay.
No, it's
Martha's Vineyard.
Or New York
New
City,
York City.
wherever we're busting them.
$1 billion.
That's it.
before this occurrence, I was like against everything, like never believed in anything like that. And well, it was night fishing. I was with TJ actually.
Okay.
We were at my cabin, and I like that's my favorite thing is night fishing. You get a good bite. And I always get bored at some point in the night, and I just randomly look up at the sky because I love the stars. So I always look, and I know what's out there. And there's this one extraordinarily bright light hovering above my cabin, like unmistakable. I was like, this is not the North Star. I have no idea. Like, there's not a special planet out tonight. Like, and I like look over at TJ, and he's always casting, and he's staring at this star already, and he never. I'm like, look at him. I was like, just making sure you see this too, right? He's like, yeah. So we stare for a little bit longer, and all of a sudden, it's like a big bright ball, and it like breaks. Bam, bam, bam. 3 points. It forms a triangle. One bright light here, one here, and here. I'm like, what in the heck? And it kind of like goes like this, and like starts moving like over towards us, and it like can plainly see it moving towards us, and it comes over, and if you're like ever standing underneath like high tensile electricity,
That buzz.
Yeah, that buzz.
Yeah.
unmistakable. I got chills on my arms right now, but my hair stood up. It got so cold, like instantly cold, and you hear like feel it. I'm like, just freeze. I don't remember really anything what TJ was doing, but the lights that are in a triangle shoot up in the air, go way back over the cabin, go into one single form, and then pink disappear. So I had no idea, and I talked to my cousin about it, or Brian Harbin, and I mentioned like what happened. He was like, "That's like a common, like I guess was a common like."
I've always heard like the
sight.
3 lights.
Yeah,
So-
I know, but I had no idea, and he was like really fascinated by it. He was like, because he was into it, and he was like, "You're telling me this, and like I've read books about this, and you experienced it."
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Was
it's
this
crazy.
before or after drones started getting popular?
Before it was
Before,
before,
yeah, okay.
it was a while. It was
Yeah.
a good while ago because I guess like it was like a year after someone talked about it in a news something because it was like on its path. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about, bro. I was like, I just know what I saw and felt.
No, and like I said, I'm a firm believer that, but I'm also one of those things that like I got to see it to believe it. Like I watch all these paranormal shows. You're like, how many,
Yeah.
they're filming and who's pulling the
Yeah.
string behind. It's just, and a lot of people that experience that would be like, don't make that statement. Like you don't want to like wish that. And I'm like, no, I kind of do. Like I want to go down to Blair House where it is and spend the night in there. And
Oh,
Amy's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you were out of your mind. I'm like,
I feel you on that one because like I'll watch this paranormal shows and like knowing a little bit of the stuff that goes on behind the camera, like I watch it and be like, how easy it would be for me to recreate exactly what they just
That's what I
said
said. For
happened.
all the
Like,
technology we have,
hard.
you
Yeah.
can't tell me that we haven't picked up something other than. And it's funny every time. Like, what was it out in Los Angeles or something? Supposedly aliens landed.
I think
No,
it was
we
out
got
there.
iPhones or Samsungs or everything's got like a 24,000 megapixel camera on it. But as soon as an alien shows up, everything's blurring out of focus.
Right.
Come on.
I think a problem a lot with like the news articles when they say UFO is I think like you could, if you see a plastic bag floating in the sky, you could call that a UFO. It's not, so like anything that's floating around that the United States can't identify, they'll say that's a UFO.
Right.
And then we immediately think that's an alien spacecraft.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got off the
Yeah,
hunt.
getting back
That
to
was a good.
I went back to the video stuff. Like,
so if you got a letter in the mail tomorrow, it said Outward Outdoors has a ticket to go anywhere in the world to hunt any animal. Where would you go? What would you hunt?
Oh boy.
chupacabra in Mexico.
Go right back to it.
No, honestly, top of the list would be a bull elk hunt in
Bull elk?
Colorado.
Okay.
Yeah, that honestly, that would be top tier. If we could go, I would be like, let's go right now. We're doing this.
Yeah, that would be cool. Or even, I just completely went blank. The bigger bucks out west.
Mule deer.
Yeah,
Mule
deer.
deer.
I can't believe
That would be
completely went blank.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Thank you, chemotherapy, for messing my head up. But yeah, no, I think a mule deer hunt would be fun too. But I definitely want to do an elk. It's on the bucket list.
So you mentioned when you were like looking up different hunting shows, taking what you like about. So what hunters on TV do you follow like the most? What are you most inspired by, or who gave you like the most ideas when starting out this?
Waddell.
Take that, yeah.
Mike Waddell.
Okay.
Don't stop the flop. That was because
Okay.
like our
So
first
turkey
thing,
and
our first thing
inspiration.
was turkey. Like that's how we kind of like started the whole thing up. Was starting with the turkey hunt early in this year, and the Don't Stop the Flop series has been around forever. That's like what made Mike Waddell was the turkeys. So like I literally binged like I think like 17 seasons or something of just his shows before we even did our first turkey hunt. And then like when it comes to like the outfitter side of it, the media side of it, the marketing side of it, like the online presence. It's Jury Outdoors is a big one. They just have such a following on everything they do. I mean, they don't even really have like a big show on TV or anything, but like just everything they do. I mean, they got like 1 million followers on everything.
Yeah.
They have a really good team over there. So I try to mimic a lot of their design aspects and then mimic a lot of Waddell's storytelling and just flow of a video.
Yeah.
No, it's cool. Like I said, like I watched your video and you can see where you get your inspiration on some of that stuff. But I think it's just, like you said, I think it's cool to do the storytelling part of it, just the behind the scenes thing.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, you know, he has 2 kids. I don't. Like, at the end of the day, I want his kids to be able to watch this in like 10 years and be like, yo, there's dad doing this, and actually understand the story of it. So like he doesn't have to, like, no one has to sit there and tell them what he did. Like they can just watch what he did.
Right.
Yeah, because like one video you took through like cooking the meat, like processing, like all the steps. Like you're actually like showing the hunt, not just the hunter, not the animal, just the whole experience of it.
Yeah,
which is real cool.
I'm glad you brought up the cooking thing too, because like Meat Eater on Netflix has become like a big
Is that
thing.
vanilla?
Yeah.
Okay, Steve Ranella?
Yeah. And it's become a big thing. And that's something that we talk about a lot. Like we eat everything that we hunt. Duck is my favorite personally. I love duck, but duck, venison, I mean, everything we hunt, we eat. So that is something like we, in the future, especially now with deer season and everything, we've said like, we're going to do an episode of like, how do we process a deer? Cause we normally never take them to like we've taken them to processors in the past. But we don't have to, we can do it right there. We have a vacuum sealer, we have slicers and stuff.
Yeah.
We want to do different like recipes and videos and showing people like you can like how to cook this stuff.
Yeah.
Because I do think a lot of people don't understand of like, once you harvest the animal, then what? 99% of hunting videos are just the hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do you do with it afterwards? And that's just something that I think we're both passionate about, is being able to show like what goes on with the animal afterwards.
I think a majority of the people in this area I talk to that are hunters is just like as soon as they get it, they'll get a hold of somebody Amish.
somebody.
The Amish come in. That's usually what they tell me. But not too many people process their own animals anymore.
My former brother-in-law, he's up in Toronto. He does a deer processing thing every deer season. Now, God bless him, and shout out to Tim Duke. But he had a stroke like it's been 25 years now, 26 years. So he has one hand, and he processes deer like. I mean,
impressive.
he's no joke. Like I've gone a couple times and helped him just skin deer and stuff. But he's no joke, man. He does it. But I learned a lot from him because, like you said, a lot of times you just send it to somebody, and then same thing in Wintersville. There was Jim Caliotis. He was a caterer. Same thing during gun season. He ran a processing thing, and everybody took their deers there. Yeah, they drop it off, and next thing you know, you come back in, and you got everything. You got your steak wraps, your ground beef, and everything. Your cuts for jerky or whatever. And it's like you said, a lot of people don't understand it. It's just, but the people that do know how to do it, good Lord, they're slick. Like they'll skin and butcher a deer, and it's what you think
make
is
it quick.
Yeah,
we
it's
make
like
it quick.
We make it real quick.
yeah. If I
Tried
did
to.
it, I'd probably just be it'd probably behoove me just to put, like you said, tannerite or something in it, blow it up, take up the big chunks for a roast
This
and the little
works.
stuff for a steak, and
Yep.
everything else is jerky meat. So
We've assembly lined before,
Yeah, we
like
had
the
it.
whole
We've
like
done that
in his
quite a few
garage, like the
Yeah.
white banquet table. Like, hey, this person's quartering, this person's getting all the meat off, this person's
That's awesome.
running the grinder.
So you guys want to put a wrap to this?
absolutely,
Sure.
Yeah,
spot
perfect
right
time. We covered hunting, aliens, Bigfoot.
we did.
A little bit all over the place.
This is the way this is the way 10 String does. We always go on a tangent.
And it seems like it's going to be a start of some collaborations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yes,
hope
sir.
so.
Yeah, some
Yeah,
cross
listen,
promotion.
Sure, I
I-
hope so.
All right, so Outward Outdoors on Facebook, YouTube, not TikTok.
Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, or
And
X,
Twitter.
X now,
X,
X now.
yeah.
Yeah, but we do have an X account,
Just
and
not TikTok.
Just not TikTok. We'll come up with a TikTok eventually.
Yeah.
We'll restart something somehow.
And for God's sake, stay away from the groundhogs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no more groundhogs.
No more groundhogs.
I told him, like, probably after the turkey video, you would probably put on some sort of list. They would probably watch it.